Hello, hello, it is me. It is Lou. Welcome to the podcast. Ha ha ha, welcome to I Like to Think I'm Interesting. Oh, I forgot I was gonna do. Let me just do something like, let me. Oh, yes, thank you very much. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, enough of that. So today, I thought that it would be fun. So I have some laundry to fold, and so I thought that I would take you along with me as I fold my laundry. Um, the cord is not very long, so like my mic, it would sound really weird if I, you know, used my normal mic to do this. So I'm using my headphone mic. So apologies if the quality is not as nice, but I don't know. I just thought about multitasking today, and then it might be fun, to like sort of take you along with me as I do this task. That it's not that I don't like to fold my laundry, it's that it's like sometimes I find it satisfying. There's certainly something to doing something and then completing a task and folding something. I personally don't fold my laundry very nicely. But I do it enough so that it looks nice to me. I feel like other people's I probably don't fold up to other people's standards, but as long as it looks folded and I can tell that it's nice and different from the dirty ones, most importantly, um, you know. And I've really taken to doing this task immediately, starting it immediately after I uh, like, or at least as soon as possible. Like, the most I'll do is I'll leave it in the bag overnight. But what I'll do is I'll dump it out on my bed and I'll start just like folding it. And I think that's, pretty valuable personally. Well, at least to me, I don't know. And I don't know if you'll find this interesting, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about routines today, and this kind of fits with my theme because I've been thinking a lot about my own routines and what I want to improve. So, if you're hearing this right now, or when I upload it, which will be soon after, but I just got back from vacation, and I spent a lot of time on vacation because I just happened to be invited to another family vacation besides my own, and so I took a lot more time off than I usually do. And it's not that and as you've heard on the channel, I don't on the podcast. I don't have like full time employment right now. I'm mostly just doing I'm doing stuff like this. I'm trying to build this, and also I'm doing part time work. And so it's really it's not super hard to like it's not hard to get time off here, which isn't a good thing really. This isn't really a great thing, but like I mean, while I am essentially functionally fun employed, right? Might as well, take time to see my family and time to, reflect and figure out what I want to be doing, and stuff like that. And so, with that in mind, I really wanted to start. I don't know. I've just been thinking a lot about my routines, and I really noticed that over last week, I had the privilege and fortune of being with my family, and we spent time at a river, and that was lovely because there was it was a house with a pool, and it was lovely, and I'm really lucky, and it was so relaxing and rejuvenating, and it made me feel amazing. And there's a lot of people who don't get to have that, and that sucks. I wish that more people got to have experiences like that and got to like take time away from their hectic lives sometimes. I don't know. It's really valuable. I hope that most people. I hope that a lot of people get to do that because it's really quite nice. Even if you just get to like go swimming somewhere for like a day or something. I don't know. I find it so relaxing. Anyway, so I made the commitment to go swimming every single day and make it almost a part of vacation routine. Now, I've been always really like resistant to routine because like I feel like growing up when I was a part of routine, for school and stuff, it made the days so monotonous, and really difficult to get through sometimes because, and it made me do a lot of revenge bedtime procrastination, meaning like I would stay up really late and, not go to sleep because I felt like my time wasn't my own because there was always something or somebody that wanted something from me. And it's not that I didn't make the choice to do stuff like I did a show, all the time. I was doing shows all the time. I was a part of like band and choir. I was doing a million things. Like I really wanted to get into a good college, right? So I just sort of filled my time with everything I could. And that worked for me for a bit, but it also in a lot of ways didn't because, it made those quiet moments in my internal life like really, almost deceptively, secretly difficult, right? I'm sure other people have definitely experienced this in your, like, trying to do college things. But anyway, that's just what I've been thinking about a lot. You know what this feels like, what I'm doing right now? It feels like, have you, have any of you ever seen Radio Rebel? I'm sure you all have seen it. But it's basically, there's this scene where she's getting more confident on the radio, right? And of course she's inciting rebellions in her school and stuff, the usual stuff that she does in the film, in the movie, I should say. But there's this part where she's got her headphones on, and it has like a remote setting where she doesn't like have to sit there next to the mic. She like wears it on her head. So right now I'm using my headphone mic, which is really convenient and nice because it's like I forgot that I bought these nice headphones a bit ago. So anyway, back to what I was saying about routine. I sort of made, swimming every day my routine, and that was really nice because it made me go outside and exercise. And it doesn't feel, and I think really great exercise doesn't feel like exercise sometimes. I mean, I don't know. I think I really don't like the way that, especially as Americans, we grow up. I mean, I'm from the U.S., but I don't like the way that we grow up learning about, or at least I don't like the way that I grew up learning about exercise, because it really just felt like something awful, because I never really, and I think definitely an effort was made, like I had an elementary school teacher who taught us about dance, but, in our culture, really even, like, it's so, like, other forms of exercise are really not, like, and if, enjoyment, I feel like is really not as much encouraged. Working out is supposed to be this thing about discipline. It's supposed to be about, you're not doing it right if you're not, pushing yourself to the limit and not, blah, blah, blah. And, I don't know. I think that with that sort of, I mean, though it is true that in order to build muscle, you must, push yourself and do all these things. And, like, if you want to continue to reach your goals, you must continue to push your body further, if you're working out or if you're lifting weights, you put more weight, you do progressive things, right? That's the only way you're going to grow and improve. But like, I feel like there's a lot to be said about just simply contracting your muscles every day, or at least doing something, like moving every day. A lot of us live such sedentary lives, and, I think it's there's been so much either or, and I guess you could say that about everything these days, really, because we live in a world of hashtags, right, and a world of you take my side or you don't like me, right, in a world of like, if I don't love you, I hate you, you know what I'm saying? So, like, there hasn't really been a medium, and, of like, hey, as long as you're moving, like, you can start, and if you really want to, like, focus on building muscle, if that's a goal of yours, it's just like, I think it's either like you exercise and you work out and you're not satisfied with your body until you're shredded, or you don't do anything and you're afraid of the gym because people will judge you. And I I also have a fear of the gym. I wasn't even yelled at the gym, but I was yelled around at the gym. There was somebody who was like yelling at somebody else for not finishing their set fast enough on this particular machine. And I was like, I hate this. I don't want to go to the gym again because it is so scary. And particularly, it's because of this. I think one could relate it to, people have really, I think, used it as like used their exercise to hold it over other people sometimes because they see that other people don't do that, and so they're like, oh, well, it must be because of that. It must be, because they're not disciplined enough and I'm better than them. And you have this sort of subconscious idea that you're, in some ways it's probably what you're doing, exercising and, building your muscle, and it's going to make you, live a lot longer probably, and it's also going to probably make you be able to have more movement, a lot longer than other people, right? And that's a beautiful and wonderful thing. And obviously I'm not saying that anybody should be ashamed of anything like that, but I am saying that there's so much, in that beautiful accomplishment, there's so much shame, that is put upon others, I think unnecessarily. Just because you're doing well, doesn't mean you have to shame others for not doing as well, and also to expect them to do exactly the same way that you want to, because, though it is true that those things will help people, to make it so extreme, to make the only alternative to, putting as much time and effort as you do into it, to like wasting away and dying, it's just not accurate, and it's not helpful either, because I think what should be, really encouraged is, like gradual steps into exercising every day, but not thinking of it as a chore or thinking of it as a, and I think there are definitely some people who encourage that. There's definitely some people in the world who are like, this is what needs to happen, but like, I really didn't know until I really experienced it. Because when I experienced doing it on a somewhat regular basis, so I do calisthenics a little bit because I stopped wanting to go to the gym, and I'm not saying in any way that I'm an authority on this, but I am saying that I think I have learned something quite valuable, so I'll share it. I wrote a list of exercises for myself to try to do every day if I can. Now, I do not at all accomplish this goal every single day because sometimes I just don't, and I'm doing something else and then I forget, and then it's just sitting there on my list, and it goes over to the next day. You know what I'm saying? I started with like really small, and I still am doing that. I do 5 push-ups, 5 squats, 10-second plank, and 10 sit-ups, right? And those are really quick. I can even do them just really from anywhere. Sometimes I'll do them at work because when it's slow, like if I find just a spot to do it, I can just do it and accomplish it in like less than a minute, right? It's like, it's really like maybe less than 2 minutes. It's really quick and nice, and, it lets me know, I have moved today, and I have moved specific muscles today. Now, moving on from that, that's very like targeted, right? That's like when we think of exercise, that's like exercise. That's like working out, right? But, this past week when I swam every single day, and I was just getting out there because I was like, I'm near a pool. I should swim every day. I don't get to swim every day. So I have the opportunity to swim every day. I should be swimming every day. So that's what I did. And even one time, when I couldn't, like when I'd waited too long and it was already in the evening, I just took a night swim. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and jump in the pool at night, and it's fine. Just bring a light, And it's like, doing that every day just really like, it upped my energy. It made me more excited. It made me, and also just like swimming is great. I just love swimming, and I didn't even notice that I was doing exercise the whole time. So I think like that should be encouraged as a default rather than one or the other, right? Either than doing nothing or doing everything, right? I think that there should be a happy medium that like, hey man, if you want to go play pickleball or something, every week or something. Like that's so awesome. We should be encouraging stuff like that rather than being like hate yourself, hate yourself. Your body doesn't look good enough, you know? I don't know. That's just what I've been thinking a lot recently. Hey, so now I'm back, and I finished my task, and I'm sitting down. Anyway, hi, I'm back from finishing folding my clothes. So we had a whole thing. I was talking about a whole thing about exercise, and just in general routine. And so I went on a tangent about how I think that routine is when you start building routine. I think it can be really scary at first because I feel like often routine can feel, at least to me, I don't know if anybody else has this experience, but routine sometimes feels to me like it is monotonous and boring and, like a little like a little unhelpful. I mean, I don't know. It's nice to know. I didn't know how much I relied on it until I stopped having it, but whenever I was in it, I always wanted to break out from it, because the routine wasn't made by me. It was made by the obligations which I chose to take, that included school, right? And now, in trying to find a job and things like that, the routine is a lot less clear. And so I have to build it myself. And, now that I think about it, I have been given an opportunity to make a schedule that I can actually function under. Because it appears that, doing what I did in high school and, a little bit in college sometimes too, but mostly in high school was not the best thing for me. And I also just don't think it's best for students in general, but because we have such a competitive system now, especially when it comes to college and things and, work and life, and we live in a competitive society rather than a cooperative one, and that could be a whole thing that I say, but it's quite tough, and I often think there's just so much wealth and so many things to go around. Like, why don't we just share it with each other rather than, competing to see who has the most? But I understand that not everybody wants that, and I don't really understand it. But, maybe I don't have all the pieces. But that's just my feeling sometimes. I just think that when I had too much routine, it was bad for me, and now that I've had too little routine, it's bad for me. So, I have to really I've really started, trying to understand how my brain works and how much rest do I need. And I've learned through a lot of trial and error. I feel like I'm slowly learning. But yeah, I don't know. I thought about sitting down to talk and record today, just because, I don't know, it just sounded like the right thing to do. I'm about to start a new part-time job. Let's hope it's good. Fingers crossed, everyone. But it's so, I think I am ashamed of a lot of these past few years, even though I know that I have accomplished things during them, and the people that love me will tell me that I have, but I think the way that I've been spending my time, I haven't really been as happy with. But I've also just I haven't really understood how to, because I've just found this new sense of peace. Obviously, you all know that since I, went through treatment for my mental health, I've really gained this protectiveness over my own mental health and peace, because I was so sad for a lot of my life, and I did not think that things were going to get better. I did not think that I was going to get better. I did not think that life was good for anyone, and I had this really sad perspective for a long time that everybody was really upset, and how dare I ever be happy, because there are people who have less than me, who are less fortunate than I am, so why do I get to have more than them? I don't deserve anything I have because I haven't, because it was given to me, and as if it was my fault. And I don't know, this just was a bad perspective to have. I have since developed a perspective of gratitude, of man, it's so awesome I have all of these opportunities, and someday I want to be able to use that and be able to give back to other people. Right now I can't, because I really want to focus all of that energy on me right now, so that I can get to that point where I can do it sustainably. Because I really do want to be, someone who does give back and stuff like that. I know our world needs a lot more giving back than it used to, but I need some of that. So, anyway, a dark thought. So anyway, back to the importance of routine. I really did not realize how important it would be to me, because I think I'm ashamed to say that I've spent a lot of, like I've had like ups, big ups, where I've been like, I've made something, or I've done an event, or I have gotten this position, or I have, worked and stuff. Like I've been working, I've been doing part-time jobs, but it's just like, it's not enough for sustainability, things like that, as you know. And I feel like a lot of the physical time that I spent not doing work, has been spent, I don't think, effectively, personally. In some ways, I guess sometimes I try to be like, I don't want to hate on myself. I don't want to be like, well, you were horrible in the past. I think maybe a way to think about it for me, I'm just talking through this because I'm bringing you along on that's what this podcast is. It's whatever I want. So suck it. You have to listen to, what I want to talk about. I'm so sorry. And maybe you'll find it interesting. I don't know. So that's sort of the idea. But anyway, in my thought process that I'm thinking about right now, I think it's that I was consuming a lot of media, a lot of very long media, and I didn't know how to get myself up outside, off of the couch, outside into the sun. Like I didn't know how to, it was really hard, and it still is quite hard for me to do things on my own, and to go to places on my own, and to, go do things, right? Go be involved in opportunities that I actually want to be involved in, right? And so now that I've come back from vacation, I felt more motivation, but I always have this little spurt, this little time of motivation after I have finished. And the way that, and I usually, peter out after a bit, but what I've really realized when I've come back, and now that I've come back, has been I really want to set up routine and consistency so that when motivation goes away, which it often does, that it's not hard to do the things that I want to do. I don't have to force myself, so that my body can know, my brain can know that there are easy ways to, do what I want to do, that I don't have to sit and, be in front of a screen or something if I'm not feeling up to something, that, maybe it might be relaxing to just sit down and record a podcast, which I tried really hard to do today, because I was just I was looking at all this laundry on my bed that like I said, described before, that I normally will just stick all of this laundry, on my bed, and, and I'll try to, and that will motivate me to do as soon as possible. But I just I came into my room and sat on my bed, and I was my brain just sort of stopped for a moment, and I was man, I also got up, I also forgot I guess I forgot to set my alarm. I thought my alarm was set last night, or maybe I didn't even hear it, but I didn't wake up for my alarm today. And that also was kind of upsetting, because I had things I wanted to do today, and I just, and maybe that just means I needed the sleep. But it's quite hard to wake up and want to do things and have the world be your oyster sometimes, and have things that you want to do, but I don't know, you just can't. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely the ADHD and potentially the autism, which is what I've said, but I really like to find ways to work with them, because this has been my brain every single day of my life, and I had no idea that this has been just the way that I am and that the way that I had been doing things was just causing me stress and depression and all of these things. And now I have such a wonderful opportunity to like fix what I've been doing, to like move on and to really do what I've always wanted to do, which is to make things. I have so much support and love from so many people that I know and love, and like I finally know what's up with me, and that it's not my fault. That it's just something that I haven't known. I haven't had the tools to know how my brain works. So I'm building a new routine. Now, I've been building habits. That is something that I can say. This past year, I have been building all kinds of habits. I have a habit tracker that I've been using for more than a year, and I'm pretty consistent with it, I will say. It's called Finch, if anybody knows it. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty great. I really, really enjoy using it, and it helps me keep track of stuff, of tasks that I really want to accomplish, because I know if I put it on there, I'll accomplish it, because it'll be on my list and I'll see it. I've had so many lists in my life, and I've had agendas. Agendas have really helped me. It really helped me in school. But like, I looked at my agenda like every single day, right? But now I kind of like it, like that was like a school thing. Like that was like a required thing. Like everybody had an agenda, and everybody had like, hey, write this in your agenda, right? That's what they would do at my schools. At every school I think I went to. And it was great. And even when I wasn't given one, like I had one, and it would be a routine for me. And now, it reminds me of school, and I really don't want to do it that way because it's where I would write homework, right? And homework was only a few things. It would be like this, and this, and then it would be like this tiny box that you would write it in, and then you'd be like, okay, I'll just check off all the things that I want to do, and then I'll have done it. I think with life after school is that, yeah, you have stuff that you want to check off, but like, it's not often as simple as that. There's so many things that you want to do in a day, and I mean, to put this in context, like sometimes, like when I went to college, like I mean, I still forget to eat sometimes. And now that I have it on my app, to something like a phone on my phone that I look at every single day, to eat something throughout the day, it really, really helps. And I also have it to like brush my teeth and other things that just like sometimes I just forget to do them, and I feel bad about that sometimes. Well, often, right? But like, it's so nice to be able to like be like, here is this tool that I now trust myself to build habits with. So if I think of a new habit that I want, that I want to work for me, I put it on there, and I start trying to just fulfill that habit. And obviously, inevitably, there are times when I'll miss a day. But this app is so nice because it never makes you feel bad for missing a day. It celebrates your win instead. It's like, hey, when you go back to doing it, it'll be like, hey, you've done this several times in this many times. Like, you've done this 2 times in 1 week. Like, that's awesome. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for celebrating the positive, because, I think I often feel bad for not fulfilling, all of that obligation, or that obligation that I've set for myself. So yeah, and also routine has also been especially important in figuring out that I'm an artist, and I can't live my life as not an artist, and I've learned that I'm not somebody who does this for Like, I don't think I'll ever be somebody who does this, as a side thing, or as something, just for fun. Like, it's fun, but I think something I've learned is that I am and whatever it takes, I want to do it, and I want to figure out how I want to do it. I want it to be, like I just found out the only place that when I'm spending my time and doing things, the happiest I am is when I am making things, is when I am sharing my soul, as I call it, is when I am, just making things and being creative and showing myself to the world. Like, that's what I like to do. And in doing that, I'm going to need a killer routine. So, yeah, it's never been, I feel like the word hobby, right? Hobbies are really, really important to people, and hobbies, we should put less like, oh, it's a hobby, we should put less like, because there's so much, we have little time on this earth, but we also have a lot of time, and, the way people spend their time, in their free time isn't any less important a lot, than it's like school versus extracurricular, right? It's like school is the ultimate thing that you're spending your most time on, but like you love doing your extracurriculars. And I feel like, and those were so much more emphasized as being important than I think what we call hobbies now, right? Hobbies when we're adults. And so I think hobbies are super important. But I know for me that art is not something I want to do on the side of anything. It's my career. Art is my career. Gaming is my hobby. I love that I have a hobby now. I used to not have a hobby. And now that I understand the difference between a career, work, and a hobby, right? They're so... You see, these are the differences, right? Like, work is what you do to get your money. A career is what you want to eventually be doing for the rest of your life and how you want to be spending your time for money as well. And some people, work and career, they're the same thing, right? You can do work without it being your career, right? If you are doing part-time work or even full-time work, if it's not something that, it's just work, right? It's not something that you want to build upon. And, some people, those are the same thing, where they're working, they're making money, and it's also their career. And they're very lucky, to be able to do that at the same time really fast, I guess. But, I really want, and my career is not lucrative right now. It's not. But I have faith that it someday will be. And that's really hard and difficult, but I think the way that will happen is with consistency and growth and improvement. And, but I think it first starts with consistency, and consistency starts with routine. And I have learned that though it is hard for me, I am an independent creator. And I think that's because the more that I have invested my time in activities that are independent, the more joy that I've gotten out of it. And not even joy, the more satisfaction. I feel like joy is fleeting, right? You're not going to get joy off of every single project that you do or every single thing that you do in your career, right? You're just not, because it's just what you spend your time doing. It's what you spend your time working. There's going to be hard times. But like where sustainability, I think, comes in is through fulfillment. If you feel fulfilled at this challenge, and you're growing and challenging yourself, then like that's what you should be doing. And even through all of these hard parts, I felt so I've just gotten so much better at what I do, and I felt so challenged, and I've really enjoyed the growth, and I've enjoyed the people that I've met, and I've enjoyed the work that I've done. And every time that I've thought about doing something else, I've just been like, ugh, that sucks. I don't want to do that, And so, you know what? Like, I should just focus on doing this, man, and improving in those other fields, sure, If I want to go work on someone else's film set, sure, that'll certainly improve. But, like, I don't think that's where I want to spend all of my time. I think I want to do this independent creation. And, I think what's really hard is I don't quite know what that looks like monetarily. And to do well in that, you have to, like, build an audience. And it takes a while to build an audience, just like it takes a while to build a business, right? But, like, I think when I was building Loser, right, this was the idea. What I'm doing right now was the idea. But I didn't know. But making it into a business and reaching so high as I did wasn't really what I wanted, I think. I think what I wanted to do was just make my own stuff. Be a creator, And because doing this podcast, for example, I felt so fulfilled. Even the times when I've like been like, man, I don't want to record this week, but like I'm gonna do it. Like, it's just felt so good to sit down and record and to ask my friends to be a part of it too. It's just been so lovely. And I've also really enjoyed, cooking up. I've got a lot of on this vacation. Also, I'll share with you, I cooked up a lot of ideas. And that's another thing that's so important to me about vacation and taking time is that, like, like, I got to tap into that again. I got to tap into what I really want to be doing. And I don't know, man. It's just like, thank God, Like, I thought that I lost that. I thought I lost the ability to, like, really enjoy making things and enjoy, finding that creative spirit again, and hope, and man, like, there's so much hard things going in the world, but never has there been an amazing opportunity to make the stuff that I want to make. We may live in a world where things are stealing, like with AI and with Hollywood studios making the same thing over and over again, but also at the same time, there's YouTube, man. There's niche. There's Netflix, man. And like there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff. And there's Instagram, and there's TikTok. There's just all these places to create and make, and and it's just like the commercial thing of it makes me angry. But, like, you know what? Like, right now, while I'm looking for work and trying to figure out what this is, I'm looking for work while I build my career. You see that distinction there? Like, fuck it, man. Like, I want to just make what I want to make and focus on that and focus on building the craft and making the craft good, rather than worrying about all this, like, social media marketing for right now, and like I want to get good, and I think I'm gonna get good, because I think the more that if you really want to improve at something, and you like it and it's fulfilling to you, then nothing can stop you. So, you know what? I'm just going to put my best foot forward and do it. Isn't that great? Isn't this the most motivated I've sounded in months? This is what a vacation can do for you. Like, I did not realize how much I needed a vacation, and I needed to see my family, and I needed to be around people who love me, unconditionally. Not that I'm not around those people, because I do live in a wonderful community, full of people who I love very much, and, who I did miss in being here. But I don't know, man. It just was so nice to be there and to really, like, So it's, to be in nature, too, and in wide open spaces, there's just allows you to breathe, I guess. I live in a city, so it always really helps to go somewhere that is in a city, that isn't, that has wide open spaces and trees and grass and stuff. But also, if I were to live there, I would hate it because I'd miss the energy. I'd be in constant vacation mode. I would never be able to work because I would just be like, what do you mean? I'm just going to look at the water all day, But, yeah, man. So I am building a routine is what I'm doing in order to, I want to sustain my work. And, yeah, I think that's what I really want to do. This feels like a good spot to end off of. This is a bit of a shorter one, but, I feel like if I've said enough that I want to say, thank you all so much for listening to I Like to Think I'm Interesting. And I am pretty interesting, huh? And, I think these are only going to get better, so stick around. And I really hope that you enjoyed because I really enjoyed making this. Bye, guys. And we're gonna get on the podcast. This song is longer than I thought it would be, but it's the end.